I've been using a first generation Ryzen based system for the better part of 4 years now, and I have had nothing but issues, and I thought I'd finally do a video talking about some of those issues and just kind of go through some of my thought processes and what I've done to kind of overcome some of those issues. To give you guys some context, I built the machine shortly after the first generation Ryzen processors were announced. I bought me an ASRock X370 motherboard. I slapped in a 1600X processor because I didn't need anything too fancy. I put a 1050 Ti and 16 gigs of RAM. It ran fine up until Windows 10 1803/1809 came out, and that's when a lot of the instabilities in Windows started cropping up. And I've documented this at least in some way, shape, or form before. I don't really need to cover that here, but I've had nothing but issues since then. But from 1803 up until about 1909 was the point where I had some really huge system instability issues. On top of that, I had driver instability issues with the 1050 Ti. I don't know what NVIDIA does sometimes, but for some reason, the game-ready drivers are really unstable. At least for me, they are. And with all of that, I was in the midst of experimenting with different operating systems to see what kind of worked best with it. And even Linux was kind of a hit or miss experience because I experienced system hang issues or crashes or just weird glitches or issues with the user interface or just any number of issues. What I concluded, at least at the time, was that using that particular system was kind of counterproductive because I spent a majority of my time troubleshooting and diagnosing issues and trying to find solutions to it, when in actuality I never really found a solution. Just a few weeks ago, I started using my iPad as kind of like my daily driver. It wasn't designed to replace my entire workflow, but it was there to fill in the gaps when I really didn't need to have access to a full-fledged desktop. And what I found is that I was able to do almost everything I needed to do on a desktop on a device half that size. It was a really nice experience, but it still wasn't a PC experience. I prefer Premiere Pro over LumaFusion for a variety of reasons. Most importantly, having access to a regular mouse pointer is probably more beneficial than using whatever Apple uses to enable cursor support. But beyond that, LumaFusion is fine for most people, and including myself, but it's not a full-fledged video editing program. And I found it easier to edit a video in Premiere Pro, as I've always done, than in LumaFusion. That didn't stop me from continuing to edit videos within LumaFusion because I did it for several weeks and I concluded it's a really fantastic program, but it's no Premiere Pro. I'm just gonna put that out there. So I started thinking about how I was going to address some of the issues that I had with my desktop. Now, I had played around with Windows 11. I'm actually running Windows 11 in a virtual machine right now, but some of those issues kind of disappeared. But that didn't stop the computer from, randomly crashing because of random driver issues. And that brought me to a point where I had to make some tough decisions. I tried using TrueNAS, I tried using Unraid. Neither one of those really did what I wanted it to, and I actually prefer virtualization solutions like VMware Workstation Pro or Hyper-V over what they were using. I think one of them used Virt Manager, and I can't remember what the other one used. In either case, I really didn't feel the virtualization solutions within TrueNAS or Unraid were particularly great. It was great for everything else, but virtualization kind of felt like a second priority, and since I can't do pass-through with NVIDIA GPUs, it was kind of beyond the point. So I had to figure out what to do next. So I decided to try Windows Server 2022. That's the latest version of Windows Server. Luckily enough, my system supports TPM 2.0, So I decided to give it a chance. I've been running it ever since, and I've only had one hiccup. And I guess that's a true testament to the hardware that I chose. Maybe perhaps I could have chose a better configuration for that particular system. And I have some ideas for the next system that I'm going to build into a server chassis, which I'm going to use for virtualization. I'm going to cover that in a separate video, but I want to know what you guys think in those comments down below. That's really all I have for today, folks. I'll see you next time.